Jason. Welcome to the show, man. I'm delighted to have you here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I love that we connected online, that we connected on LinkedIn, and it's like, yeah, let's get you on the pod. I think what you're doing is super fascinating. I think Botrista, very interesting concept. Is it patronizing to call it a concept? I mean, it's more than a concept.
Call it what you like. No, it's a concept. It's a business.
Yeah,
a lot of aspects to it. So a concept works.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because I actually said that to somebody before, and they were like, "It's a company, not a concept." I was like, "Okay, not on the pod." Like a friend of mine said that to me before. But yeah, one of the things, I always like to kick off the conversation.
Yeah.
By learning more about you, what makes you tick. And so, do you mind telling me a bit about yourself? Who you are, what you do, and most importantly, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I appreciate you reached out. We're connected on LinkedIn, and you have so many connections on LinkedIn, and then people reach out all the time, right? And then you reached out about the podcast, and I jumped at it. I saw what you've been doing, and so thanks for having me. But you got something good going on here, and happy to be a part of it.
Gent, thank you.
Absolutely. So yeah, me. So my name is Jason Valentine, Chief Strategy Officer at Botrista Beverages, and basically we're an automated beverage platform that enables restaurants to serve trending craft beverages. Right. So how I got my career started, one of the talking points we're going to talk about later is that I believe the restaurant industry is the best industry in the world. Right. And I'm looking forward to talking about that with you later on. But let me start with where my career started, and that's as a child. All right, my father was a restaurant leader for McDonald's, and he worked in the Ray Kroc era. You know who Ray Kroc is, right?
Oh man, have I seen the founder? Yeah,
you have. It's funny. So I watch it, and then of course I hear stories from my dad and those that worked under Ray in that time. And McDonald's is a legend, right? And Ray Kroc's a legend, and so that's the environment I grew up in. Right? My father is a restaurant leader in the McDonald's environment. I'm 7 years old at the kitchen table hearing about all the restaurant stories, right? So I love starting there because that's really the start of my career. And it seems weird, right? Who starts their career at 7 or 8? But I would argue I did, right? So in the restaurant, working for my dad and having those experiences. So fast forward, my dad was a Ray Kroc era guy, and then he opened his own franchise.
Nice.
First franchisee of a brand called Cousin Subs based in Wisconsin. If you don't know Cousin Subs, it is still a thriving brand, a Wisconsin classic. Grilled cheesesteaks.
Didn't you work there? Am I right in my notes thinking that you worked there?
Absolutely. I mean, that's where the story's going, Alex.
You're like, anyone ever heard of this? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I was like.
Yeah, so my dad was the first franchisee at Cousin Subs. I think I was probably 10 years old at the time. I'm not sure what age I was, but I grew up in the franchisee restaurant environment and essentially worked for my dad until I was, I guess, maybe 27 or 28. My lower 20s, I started taking over the business, the franchise family. And through that experience, I had the opportunity to jump to the corporate side of the business then. So I went from being a franchisee to actually being at the corporate side, part of the leadership team at Cousin Subs Corporate, based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't do the Wayne's World Milwaukee kind of line.
Milwaukee, I did not. I did not. I'm familiar, but.
But then I guess my question to you then is I know you went over your Zoop Eatery is in yours as well, but Botrista, and if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, forgive me. I guess I'm a very phonetical reader, but it seems like a jump in sort of not a leap, but it seems like okay, this is not it's more of an adjacent kind of career move as opposed to not that I'm saying it's not up, but linear path in terms of being in franchises and whichever. This is a tool service product that can unlock for big groups, but it seems kind of how did you end up into tech? That's probably the question.
Yeah, it's maybe a simpler story. So essentially after Cousin Subs, then I went over to be the president and CEO of a company called Zoop, a national brand based out of Michigan. Sold Zoop about 2 years ago. So how did I get to Botrista? Right. So when I was at Zoop, I was on the advisory board for Botrista. I had seen what Sean, the founder, was doing with the Botrista and the beverage programs. And I thought it was really cool, right? So restaurant tech is obviously a really important part of the industry. And Botrista is a combination of restaurant tech, but they're really a beverage company. So after, leaving Zoop at that time, kind of stood back and, what do I want to do with my career? And essentially looked at opportunity. And I do have teenage kids. I have a 17-year-old, 15-year-old, and a 13-year-old. And we live in Michigan. So one of the things was, okay, we're not going to move, right? I'm pretty committed to my community and my kids at this time.
Yep.
So I started looking for restaurant leadership roles, which there were some options. But then I talked to Sean about what would it look like if really a restaurant guy came to Botrista, and that's how I pronounce it technically, Botrista, came to Botrista and helped grow the company, right? And it really was Sean's vision to really take a restaurant leader and have him come grow the company and lead the sales team, if you will. So we always say, we don't at Botrista, we don't have a sales team. We have a restaurant expert beverage team, right? So we are restaurant people that are experts in beverages, and we partner with restaurants to help them with their program. So of course, sales isn't everything. Part of it is agreements and there's relationship, but we attacked it from a perspective of really building out the restaurant experts within Botrista, and I was at the forefront of that.
That's awesome. And I love the framing of it, not necessarily being defined as sales, but like almost like restaurant experts, like kind of very consultative. Like it's like a no BS approach to working with people in restaurants, because let me tell you, like as somebody who also is in that space, like it's a real no BS industry,
It's a tough business. Listen, when I was on the restaurant side, of course, everyone's selling something, and, respect all the restaurant tech companies out there, and everyone's trying to, move the industry forward with solutions, but it becomes a very salesy environment. And, our approach really was an educational approach, right? This is what we can offer to your brand, and beverages are fun. Right. So, and everyone wants to do new, cool beverages. So it's really just an educational process where we partner with brands and show what we're doing. As an example, it's not just about me, but my senior vice president of beverage strategy, he spent 25 years at Darden Restaurant Group.
Awesome.
He was a global concept lead for many years. Right. So we built out a team, beyond myself that, is passionate about restaurants, and we can speak the language, if you will. We can speak to the executives and what they're thinking and come alongside and support whatever initiatives they might have.
I mean, that's awesome. And, it's the kind of approach that were I ever asked, like, what would you do to build a sales team? It's like to build out a team like that, like a company culture. It's like, you want restaurant people at the heart of it, and it sounds like you really hit upon it. Like, and fair play to the founder for like seeing that, because ultimately it's like, like you get the pains. The pain points are so real. They're visceral in this space, like, I guess, like, I mean, I have a SaaS background, you know what I mean? It's like, what is real pain in SaaS? It's like, oh, help me do my job slightly. There is, but it's like, for us, like, oh, make my job slightly easier. It's workflow problems. When you're talking about like restaurant people, it's like, when you're selling into restaurant people, it is like, go. There is just so much, like every day is a new day on the line, and you're only as good as your last day in that business. Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
It's real kind of intensity. And so having people who get that innately, like spiritually, like in their soul, I know that sounds kind of so like wonky or something, but you know what I mean? It's like you live and breathe it, You
do live and breathe it. And listen, maybe it's a automatic connection that we'll have with, our partners because we were on that side of the business, right? So, it's, you can definitely understand restaurants without being in it. Like, if you are in it, you definitely understand it.
But tell me, like, and for those listening as well, like, how would you explain what it is?
Yeah, Botrista. So Botrista is an automated beverage platform that helps enable restaurants to serve trending craft beverages. So I apologize. Yeah. So let me kick off with a beverage. So I have a dragon fruit berry mango lemonade, and this is a boba. So I'm gonna pop it. So apologize. I should have sent one to you.
That's okay.
I mean, if I was on top of my game, I would have had you have a drink too, and we could toast together.
We're busy schedules, man.
Yeah, that's an excuse. I could have done it. But we're a beverage company, so that's what we do. So pretty much we can serve anything cold. So I'll start with the founding story, high level. Sean is from Taiwan. Sean's a serial entrepreneur, genius, one of the most interesting guys and passionate, authentic guys that I know. So I'd love to tell a story deeper in the future. But Sean was from Taiwan, came to the U.S., and he went to Stanford in Michigan, and then he worked at Tesla for about 6 years. Right, so he's at Tesla during the earlier days.
Yeah.
An early engineer as Tesla was growing the business, and a lot of great stories from him and a lot of learnings as a leader. So he is very innovative. He's very aggressive. He pushes the, the thinking outside the box, if you will. Hence, we're hiring a restaurant guy to lead a sales team. So that's how it started. But the real reason Botrista was born, Sean also owned 30 plus coffee or boba tea shops. And what he saw was the complexity of training his employees how to make these drinks, consistently, accurately, and even on time. So, I have an engineer at Tesla Monday through Friday, a boba tea coffee shop owner on the nights and weekends, and you kind of identify this problem, right? Like, we need a cold beverage automated platform that can make drinks at the touch of a button. So that's what Botrista is, right? So we are a tech company, right? We have really cool tech, but at the core, we're a beverage company. So the technology that Sean invented gives the ability to dispense thick quality purees and ingredients, like high viscosity.
Yep.
So it's hard to tell. I actually have some here on my desk, so happen to have here. So we always have this with us. This is, if you can see this, it's probably hard. This
I
is
can see it.
really thick strawberry. Can you tell?
Yeah.
So
I couldn't tell if it was strawberry or anything else, but I can see the color. Yeah, wafting through the screen.
So this is basically strawberries and cane sugar. Okay, this is our ingredients that can go through our bot because of the technology Sean built. So we can dispense thick liquids, precisely. This is your standard, strawberry syrup that who knows what's in it. There's all kinds of stuff. Just spilled some on me, by the way.
We'll do it live.
Let's do it live. So, that's it. So that, which we love to talk about the quality. So we're dispensing thick purees, right? That are real strawberries with cane sugar. And those make absolutely beautiful craft beverages. And then as far as what beverages we make, anything cold. If it's on ice or blended, we make it. Cocktails, shakes, smoothies, lemonades, teas, boba. If it's cold, we do it.
Okay, so explain to me then, I'm like a restaurant owner. I'm a multi-unit restaurant owner, and I'm seeing this pitch, and I'm like, okay, this is awesome. Like, we obviously serve booze, and we have sodas, whatever. That you're coming in and you're saying, like, you can elevate all of that. You're not putting alcohol into the machine. You're like, it's not like, could you say cocktails? So you can make like
we can do that. So we have some partners that we connect up with their alcohol source, and then it mixes with our ingredients.
That's awesome.
It's a great way to put a very simple, 10, 20 cocktail menu into a hotel or into a smaller restaurant without a full bar. But essentially our main use case is we can enter a restaurant or environment, a food service environment that can add new categories. We don't do soda, for clarity.
Yeah.
Right? So we actually intentionally don't do soda because we partner well with Pepsi and Coke. Like, they don't do what we do, and we don't do soda. So what happens with a brand is that maybe they want to serve smoothies, or they want to serve shakes, or they want to serve boba tea. There's always a vision there for new beverage categories from an executive, right? And now we are just empowering them to execute their vision at the touch of a button without the complexity of adding a bunch of table space or new sinks. So essentially, we're 4.5 square foot bot that has a built-in rinser, and all the ingredients are inside the bot. It's a powerhouse for what it does.
That is awesome. And you set up, like, what kind of, we want to add a range of cocktails to our restaurant offering, and then you supply all the ingredients to it, like put them in the box.
Correct.
And they're pre-programmed, or do I program?
Yeah, you're nailing it. I mean, I could show the demo video now. That might cut to the chase. But essentially, we're an all-in-one solution. So let me use an example. Let's use Halal Guys, one of our early clients.
Yeah.
Based out of New York, and they're pretty well known across the country. So
very well known. Yeah, awesome client.
Great brand. I mean, everyone knows Halal Guys, but the food's amazing. Great founding story. So we are a partner with them, and before us, they serve soda. I mean, soda sales has declined year over year, and soda's still part of the business. But sales have gone down. Everyone knows it, right? So they wanted to add, craft lemonades and potentially smoothie or creamy mango drinks. And we did the whole program, right? So our ingredients our technology. We install the machine for them. We train them how to use it. We help them with marketing, and now their staff push the button because all the recipes are downloaded to the cloud.
Yeah.
And push a button, and you have a dragon fruit berry lemonade.
Man, that is awesome. Like that is like so cool. And I guess like where are you guys on the story now? Like what's the where what? I was gonna say it's the 1st of May, it's the 30th of April.
Yeah.
But like, what's the vision? Like what are they like where do you guys see yourselves?
So the story is moving quickly. So
Yeah.
it depends on, every month seems like 12 months in our company. We're in 34 states right now. So we're actively serving brands in 34 states. We're building out every department within our company. We have 150 plus employees.
Awesome.
Our 2 home offices are based in one in Taiwan and one in San Francisco. Right. So we have different aspects of our business. We have the bot, the hardware, and the SaaS. Then we have our product supply chain. And then our operations and our growth team across the country. So yeah, we're with 13 national partners and growing. Right now, our pipeline is pretty significant.
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah, and the funny thing about a pipeline is it's menu innovation. So we're working with a bunch of big brands, big to small brands right now on their specific menu. Right. So we're not just giving them the standard menu we have. We're working with them and our culinary experts on what is an awesome beverage menu for you. So in 6 months from now, we're going to be hitting hyper growth once we continue to go through these menu innovations and these programs to scale across the company with other brands.
That's awesome. I mean, that's very cool. So congrats on that, man. I think that's badass. It's a hard product to sell. I mean, the vision of the product's not hard, but it's like, it's a big piece of hardware. So like, there's gotta be like challenges of trying to like get that over the line. So the fact that you're able to build a pipeline, the fact that like, there's a profile for the business online now, like people are talking about it. They know what it is. You're going to the conferences. Like, it's just so encouraging.
No, appreciate it. And it's 4.5 square feet, and it's a little space in the restaurant. Essentially, adding new sales is pretty enticing, it turns out. So
yeah, who knew? Who
would have known? Who would have known? New sales without complexity works.
I mean, I guess that's it. I mean, like, they like. Is there like a anecdotal example you can tell me? Because I'm always curious about this, especially when I talk to other tech vendors, like be them software like us or be they like hardware like you. Is like, I find that the 2 key things that they're always looking to solve for is either save me time, save me money, or make me money. It's like within those. And so this is very much like, we can make you money. How do you go about like showing them the money making way? You know what I mean? You just mentioned there that it was like, who doesn't want to make money? Who doesn't want extra sales? So how do you go about even like making that literal for somebody?
That's funny. The classic, I was at Zoop as a president, and I got a call. I remember this very distinctly. And the guy said, would you like to save time and make more money? And, classic sales pitch. And the answer is, of course, yes. But I said, I don't really want to talk about it now.
I don't have the time.
I don't have the time. Yeah, I don't have the time to talk about it. We don't pitch it hard. Like people, here's the thing is we are on a mission to educate. So we do all the conferences. We actually go to corporate offices and do a live demo tasting for potential partners with no obligation, right? Like this is just an education play.
Yeah.
When people see it, like it makes sense. Okay. So we don't need to tell them, yes, it's easy, because they see it's easy. They touch a button, there's a drink. We don't need to tell them it's going to make them more money, because they understand right now in the marketplace, when you add cold trending craft beverages or any kind of cold beverage, it actually is increasing sales. I mean, Starbucks, 75% of their sales are cold beverages, which is astonishing.
That is actually a thing. I mean, now that you say it, I kind of think like every time I go there, everyone else orders iced coffees, and I'm the guy that gets a piping hot coffee at 100-degree temperature.
Well, you're part of the 25% then. Consider.
Yeah, I'm an outlier.
An outlier, but look at what Dunkin's done. Look what McDonald's has done with the new drive-through concept. I mean, I talked to a brand yesterday, a large global brand, and they essentially said it's not even debatable that cold beverages are in demand. It's a matter of what category is right for your brand. So, back to your question about, time and money, it's just obvious with what we're doing. So we spend most of our focus on, okay, what is the right category and the right recipes for your brand, right? So an example, a brand out here in California, Yoshinoya, they are a partner of ours, and we put together 4 amazing boba beverages for them, and they just sell 4 bobas, but they're awesome in quality, and it fits their brand perfectly.
Yeah,
they could expand in the future and do other categories with us, but it's just an example of how we spend most of our time, kind of trying to feed the vision of the executives.
Yeah.
The case that you're going to save time and money, right? It's more, they know they're going to get extra sales, and they see that it's easy now to get what is the right menu category for them.
Yeah, and I mean that's actually it. And I just like listening to you here, I mean, it seems to me like the absolute right play. Like I'm like, the market just needs to understand that such a product exists, see it to believe it, to understand it. Like, it's funny, like I talk to people about I talk about marketing a lot on this podcast sometimes, and it's like there's a real obsession with direct response in restaurants. Like, get the lead, get the sale, boom, 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 and it's like there's a very high consideration bar in restaurants, like very high, and there's a really high social proof bar. You get like clients in. It's funny because, well, on the panel that you were on, was it RLC or was it MUFC that you were
most recent was RLC, and I would say I facilitated. I was on it, but I was just kind of the maestro of the group, and I let the 4 CEOs kind of lift up the panel. Amazing group. It was Big Chicken, Big Chicken.
Josh, my boy, I love him.
Josh is awesome. He's everywhere, but he's
omnipotent.
Jason from Crumble, CEO of Crumble.
Yeah, awesome.
Alicia from a maybe not so well-known brand, but very big and growing, L&L Hawaiian Barbecue.
Yeah. I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm pretty sure she's coming on the pod.
So she's amazing, great leader, and actually based in Hawaii, but over 200 locations in the U.S. And then lastly was Beto from Blaze. So you're talking about the panel, like, I could talk about that for quite a while, but just 4 amazing leaders kind of giving their take on restaurant leadership. And they each gave their top 3 lessons learned in leadership. By the way, nothing to do about Botrista, right? So when we do panels, like, it is not a consideration for me to try to promote Botrista.
That's what I was getting at. And that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I was like, because all of them are like restaurant, or like they're like food service businesses, know? And I was like, well, I guess tangentially yours is, but like, I mean, in the sense that like, it's you're sharing the stage with them, and that's the point I was getting at, where it's like, people are going to go see that, and they're going to see you there with them, and that's what I mean by the high social proof bar in like restaurants. Is like, it's like you just got to be there in that sort of phase, like, so more and more eyeballs are kind of getting there, because those sales will come. People are ready to buy when they're ready to buy. You know what I mean? And it's like, they will come, but it's like that education piece, that consideration piece, of you being there, that was so key. And that's what I thought was really cool, that you were doing that panel. I guess, like marketers marketing, it's like, I know what's going on over there. I know. That's really good.
And listen, maybe it's unfair, but though it's a tough environment for sales. I know a lot of companies are grinding and they have quarterly goals, but we're playing a long game here, no doubt. Yep. So the panel was just to do our best show and put on a cool panel of CEOs. And listen, the rest plays out, right? More people know about Botrista. The brands, they got exposure for what they're doing in restaurant leadership, and everybody wins.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you crushed it. I mean, I thought that was very impressive. So like, keep doing that.
I mean, literally, it was the easiest job I ever did. I just got the group together and I said, tell me your top 3. And I just kind of stepped back and they were amazing. So again, great group. And just happy that we could bring value, to RLC, which is already a great conference. And
so I guess, on the topic of leadership, since we're here and I'm speaking to a leader, tell me, like you mentioned the top 3 lessons that they all had. Like, what are your top 3 lessons?
I didn't prepare for this, but I have something for you.
Yeah, well, there we go. That's what this pod is about. I'm just catching people out.
Good, yeah. Gotcha. He's going to get that.
I got you on your leadership.
That Barbara Walters moment. I'm going to cry.
Oh, yeah. Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, exactly. Here's something. I love talking about this one. And listen, my restaurant leadership experience, my leadership experience was a course of many years. And I do believe started as a child, just, under my dad as my father, so my family business. But 4 years ago, I learned something that became very compelling to me in my career now, and I think it should be compelling for others as well. So at Zoop, I was the president and COO, and the founder, his name was Eric Gersher. He sold the business, but now he still owns a CPG business, Zoop Broth.
Nice.
Go to Walmart, any health store. The chicken bone broth that Zoop sells on the shelf is amazing. So
that's awesome.
But anyway, so I didn't. He owes me for that one. So what he always used to say, and it didn't click for a while, he would say, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And I didn't really understand it until a few months later. And right now, my biggest thing in leadership and what I focused on myself is really my leadership there's 3 categories. It's leading, it's following, or get out of the way. And I'll tell you what, when you reach the point where you are really content and confident enough to follow or get out of the way, it feels really good.
Yeah.
So the message is you don't always have to lead. And I would argue there's many times people should not be leading or they should get out of the way. Right? And what's cool is as I look at my career, and this is we're building out our executive team, and I'm surrounded by just really talented C-level people, like amazingly talented people. And it's so fun to see them take a part of the business. Remember, I used to be part of over the entire business in restaurants, right? So I had like my fingers and everything. But it's so fun to see your peers take a part of the business and just watch it thrive and kind of get out of the way, right? And then it's equally as fun for me to take a part of the business and lead it. And contribute to the overall team. So that's what I would say is pretty compelling to me, is the lead, follow, and get out of the way.
I mean, it's great ideology. I mean, I actually love that phrase. That will definitely be me. Might even be the name of the episode.
There we go.
I love that. I love that. But it's true. I mean, and I think it takes a degree of humility as well.
It does.
For a leader. Yeah, the confidence begets the humility to be like, I don't need to have my fingers in every pie, and being willing to I'll lead over here, I'll follow over here, I'll get out of the way over here. And to your point, it absolutely all stems from the confidence in your ability to be able to do that. I mean, it's interesting, especially in a startup, because I mean, you guys have raised an absolute shit ton of money as well. I mean, decent amount. So there's a lot of pressure in that environment as well. You know what I mean? And it's nature of startups is there's an amazing article I'll send you. My old boss, she was very early in Facebook, and she was CEO at Lambda School, which is where I met her. And she has an article on First Round Capital's blog called Giving Away Your Legos and Other Startup Commandments. And it's basically your job changes as the company grows. What we hired, especially in a startup where, a year ago is not the same as the company today. The process changes. You have new people, new departments. You're scaling up everything, and so finding that flexibility and thriving in that sort of environment, makes that lead, follow, get out of the way almost even more important, because it's how can you thrive? Where can you thrive? Because it's just such a dynamic environment. So I mean, how different is the environment say to when you were leading Zoop, for example? I mean, it must be night and day.
Oh, it is absolute night and day. And I love both sides of the business. So the restaurant versus the supplier side, the restaurant side is very much more day-to-day, right? And very much, the now, the urgent of what the issue is or what the opportunity is. I think the vendor side, the supplier side is a little more long vision, long game, right? And that's the biggest difference I would say. And, this is my first time on the supplier side. And I will tell you, I still look around, I'm not sure my skill set is really relevant on the supplier side, except for at Botrista. So I'm glad I'm here.
Well, I mean, exactly. When you find your feet, you you know what I mean? And that's the other thing about getting into tech, you know what I mean? Is it's all things to everyone, but at the same time, it's not as in people join tech companies and go, oh, I regret that. I want to go back into where I know. And it's amazing to see that you're thriving and in a hugely growing business and like building out a team of restaurant experts. Want to make sure we don't forget what we hear on the pod. But like, it's just true. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing to see that. Like, and I mean, because like, when I say it's like intense environment, like, you know, you're growing like crazy as well. Like, I mean, to raise that kind of capital, you know, it's like, yeah, like obviously it's to build out, like invest in like innovation and get that product into market as fast as possible. You know what I mean? And it's like, that brings it with itself like a big pressure as well, you know? So like, it's amazing to hear you speak so like candidly about it. And that framework you mentioned, you know, lead, follow, get out of the way. I mean, that's like, I'm fanboying that now because I'm like, yeah, like that's light bulb moment. Exactly. Like, it's like, if people don't understand that concept, it's almost like a pressure reliever. Like, it feels like, even to me here.
I think it is. I mean, I wouldn't say it's going to have to be, it's got to fit the culture of your company, right? You can only have that lead, follow, get out of the way if the culture is healthy in your environment. You know, for me specifically, again, by the C-level team we have, you know, talk about fundraising and growing business, I have nothing to do with it. Right?
Yeah.
I'm partnering with brands and servicing the growth. Meanwhile, you know, Momo, our chief business officer, Eli, our CFO, Sean, our founder, like they're moving that part of the business forward. So, you know, I think the lead, follow, get out of the way has a lot to do with who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And the culture that you're in.
And the team that you built around you, for example, they're all ex-restaurant people as well.
My
operators.
Team,
yeah.
My team that works with the restaurant brands, or, you know, even the colleges, college campuses, wherever our venue is, because we're growing, you know, all sorts of areas besides restaurants. College campuses, one area. But they're restaurant people, and even our account managers, right? When you scale to, you know, customer success, like we require at least a couple of years of some real restaurant experience, even the entry level and mid level jobs, and it's work.
I mean, we share a similar, I suppose, hiring ideology over here. I mean, like, you know, I think all our CS all worked at Restaurant Tech before us as well. You know what I mean? Like, they were at the bento boxes of this world and whichever else. Shout out. But they were like, they work here now. But like, it's true. I mean, you're trying to find people to come in and just like unleash their best, like, you know, authentic self. And, you know, what better way for like restaurants to relate to that than people who've seen it before, you know what I mean? That are in there to help you make it happen. That's awesome. You know, like, I think like
one thing though too is like for us, like the restaurant experts, they're like in my direct team that are working with brands, right? And then we have this whole part of the company that are just amazing tech experts. Right.
Yeah.
And the different backgrounds that really make our company diverse. So, you know, the restaurant piece of ours is really the front facing part, people working with the brands to really, our purpose is to help elevate their beverage menu and enable them to serve, you know, trending beverages.
That's awesome. I think the tech is so cool. Like, and you know, I was on the website before we came on here and I just thought the imagery was really cool. Like, just like how it pours and stuff. Like, do you know what's so funny is like when I was thinking about it, like my take was, before I realized you guys didn't do soda, by the way, because I mean, make that clear on the website. But what I was,
all right, I'll make that note.
Make a note. Add booze everywhere. No. One of the things I was like, because it's interesting you mentioned the Ray Kroc thing, because the thing that came to mind in my head was like how McDonald's has like the syrup, that thing they turn into the thing. Into the soda you want to get, you know what I mean? That's like the source syrup or whatever, and then it creates the drink. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to get my head around more of this and understand like the very specific. So it's very cool that you can create like individual drinks for the brands. And like when you're serving, and just like, I mean, I feel like, just so I'm totally clear as up, when those drinks are served in the restaurant, say that dragon, what was the thing you said you're drinking?
The dragon fruit, berry, mango, boba.
Okay, so
a lot going on.
Yeah, there's so many. I couldn't. I was like, I knew there was a lot. When I think about that drink, okay, and I am Alex Mann's restaurant, and I serve burgers, but I want to serve fancy drinks too. Yep. Okay, so like, when I'm like consuming, when I'm like selling that, like, am I saying I want to, like, you have 100 different items the machine can, like, you know, dispense for you, and it's like, oh, I want these kind of ones, and then, you know, you bring over all the food and the kind of ingredients, and then we can make the drink happen like automatically. Or am I like, okay, I want mojitos. You guys don't make mojito. Can you create that flavor for me in your sort of like innovation lab or whichever, and then I get the mojito? Or how does that work?
Is there a third option? No, I'll give you the
Or a third option.
combination of what you said, but let me simply tell you. So we dispense individual ingredients. All right. So we're dispensing in one bib, a 1 gallon bib has this awesome strawberry in it, and it serves like over 100 drinks.
Yeah.
So each ingredient is dispensed separately. So let's take a strawberry lychee lemonade, right? So there's a strawberry lychee lemonade, and a brand wants to serve that. They can actually customize down to ingredient taste profile, more strawberry, less strawberry, more cane sugar, less cane sugar. So first and foremost, every recipe can be customized for that brand and then locked down in the cloud, so the employee just touches the button.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah.
So the brand comes to us. So we have hundreds of recipes, but let's say we come with our strawberry lychee lemonade recipe. Yeah, that's our recipe, but then they can tweak it and make it their own. Or they come to us and say, listen, I want this, amazing, chocolate banana shake. Right. So then we go back and we kind of come up with the recipe and have them taste it, and then we tweak by ingredient. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's like so modular. Like, the flexibility of that is awesome. That is really cool. Like, I totally can see the vision just from my own vantage point of like how this would be a sales unlock for a restaurant or for a football stadium or for a college campus or wherever, presumably like any of the airports or wherever all those ancillary places. Yeah, those places that you're saying, like extraordinary degree of potential with this, extraordinary degree of potential. That is pretty badass, man. I have to say.
Appreciate that. Well, the fun part is we're starting to unlock the potential. So, with our culinary team, led by Jarrett, previously 25 years at Darden Restaurants.
Yeah.
They're coming with some amazing recipes that are blowing me away. We were at a conference, RLC, speaking of RLC, we're at a conference and we had a client come up. I won't give too much details. I don't want to throw the client's name.
That's all right.
But I don't want to name drop here. I want to.
That's fun.
But they came up and they're like, well, what if we did this, this special, frozen drink with these toppings? So Jarrett, 20 minutes later, legit programs the machine to make this amazing drink that looks like it just came from an exotic island, right? So what's awesome is the potential of Botrista is just being touched.
Yeah.
We want to provide brands the ability to serve proprietary drinks that you can only get at their, which we can do. And it's a lot of fun.
What's awesome is I have a lot of chats on this podcast about data.
We haven't talked about that. I should have dropped that one in earlier, but that's a big play for us. So go ahead and ask your question.
Totally, because I was just thinking, because what you just triggered in my head was I get a lot of people talking about menu innovation and menu testing. And so the more locations you have, it's like, okay, we want to test this kind of milkshake at this time of day in this location, and we want to see if there's appetite for that, and obviously with data analytics platforms now, they can do that and get a read on it pretty quickly. Oh, lunchtime rush, evening rush, whichever, you know what I mean? They can see how well an offer, works, or, an LT, what they call LTOs or whichever, how quickly they can work. This is the potential to actually do that in real time as well. You're talking about you're saying there, that concept to drink in 20 minutes or whatever it was, it can be done in a place and they can just turn around a new option and see how well it performs in the restaurant. In terms of dynamism, whatever about sales, the dynamic way that restaurants or businesses can use this to test different concepts and search for that edge is kind of amazing. Honestly, as in that's what's you triggered in my head. Whatever about increasing sales, you can increase edge. And I think that's what every business is also ultimately looking for is where's my edge? And you guys can provide that.
We can provide it. And there's a lot of data components to our program. And essentially when we enter a partnership, we use AI and our data to kind of put the best menu together for them and our culinary expertise, right? So it's AI data and it's our culinary expertise. So we come up with the best menu. The first phase of a relationship is really to just see how it performs. And then many stories where, okay, here's the results after 60 days of a menu implementation. We're gonna pull this away and add this because it's trending in your area.
Yes.
And the simple thing about us is, if you want to add a new ingredient or new recipe, new drink, all you do is put a new bake in the box in there, and you have all these new recipes downloaded. So it's pretty powerful. And the encouraging thing for us is, it's not just about like one category for a brand. It's about working and using the data to find what will be the best category and recipes for them.
I mean, that's exactly it. And like, because there's a bigger push for data, like obviously this is the rabbit hole we could discuss for hours, but suffice to say, my sort of overarching view here is that, like, there's a push now to get a better grasp on understanding their own data on things. I think there's a lot of providers providing restaurant analytics and whichever that are very like kind of closed APIs that are not giving them the kind of data that they kind of need to be dynamic, to truly understand their business, to really unlock, say, loyalty programs, that kind of stuff. When I think about like this is a data insight, I'm like, talk about a way where there's great margin for this business to like, it's great margin on drinks. And so like, to be able to unlock something when you have a category like sodas trending downwards is a phenomenal opportunity. I think like contextualizing that, if you talk about being in the education phase for like where you are in your sort of like sales cycle, like for me as just an observer, just as the guy interviewing you and giving all my opinions, if we do all the talking,
I'll take it.
I'm just like, this is like, I think there is definitely a story like here that is like not only just sales, you know what I mean? Like, as in, and I guess that's why you're in the education phase and you call them restaurant experts and not sales, you know what I mean? In that sense, like, it makes the story is kind of coming full circle for me here, and it's making tons of sense, is my roundabout way of saying that.
Well, I'm glad it makes sense, because we think it does too.
Yeah, no, man, absolutely. I mean, and like, again, look, I mean, it's such a resilient market. Yeah. Like, we've come through COVID, the rebound of COVID has been oscillating, I think is probably an understatement. You know what I mean? Like, as in, it's been like a whiplash almost, and everyone is coming to terms with new technology. You've inflation, you've got hiring problems at the wazoo, and it's like third party kind of causing heartburn for everyone. And so like, this in and of itself is like where brands can get edge. I know I keep really using that word edge, but I like to use it in the sense like it is edge giving, I think. And I think like, what my take on this is like, if you were a larger group, larger business, multi-unit franchise business, multi-location business, I mean, this almost strikes me as like no brainer. Get into a test market and see how well it impacts.
That's what we're experiencing. I mean, I think that once we educate people and we've seen them understand what we do, it is a no-brainer to give it a shot, right? And post-COVID, there's a lot of post-COVID conversations. The most relevant one for us is that we can help brands get more sales without complexity.
Yeah.
If you add sales and add complexity, it's tough, right? But the power of adding sales and it being easy operationally is huge. And I'll tell you, before I took the job and before I joined Sean, I guess a year and a half ago now, I visited 10 locations that had a Botrista, and I talked to the staff. I didn't want to talk to an owner. I didn't want to talk to Botrista corporate. I went and I talked to individual staff members where Botrista was being served. What I saw there and why I was excited about joining Botrista was they loved it and they thought it was easy, right? So you talk to 10 plus employees, ages of 16 to whatever, 50, 60 plus, and they like using it. That's not common in restaurants.
No, it's not. Let me tell you. No, it's not. I mean, Jason, I guess, wrapping up, because we're like, can you believe we're at 45 minutes? And
the time's flown by. You've done a great job. You should
that's kind of you. That's kind. I always like to ask like kind of random jarring question at the end, but why is this the greatest industry? Why is restaurants the greatest industry in the world? And what can we do to make it better?
Well, the first question, let's talk about that. Why is it the greatest industry in the world? Which I believe at the core of myself now, some stats and information to back it up. The stories of individual growth and success where people otherwise might not have a great career path, right? How many people do we know that started as a team member at a restaurant, right? And they're now, the president, or they're the, vice president of operations, or they're business consultant at a restaurant brand. They've reached career levels. So
yeah,
restaurant industry gives everyone the same opportunity. Listen, if you can perform at the restaurant level and you stay dedicated and you consistently contribute and work your way up, you will find yourself in an amazing career. So, I was talking to, I'm not going to say the name. So it's
that's all right.
It's a national leader for a huge brand that started like entry level. And there's just so many stories like that. That's why it's a great industry, right? So
I love those.
It's just inspiring. And, one of the things early on, and to this day, I love doing this. I just tell people where I work. When I was a president of Zoop, I work at Zoop, and I'm proud of it, right? So whether I'm the cashier or I'm the president is irrelevant. Like, the pride in this industry is enormous, and the opportunity for individual growth and provide for yourself and your family is endless.
That's awesome. Okay. And then how do we make it better?
We need to get more people that see that opportunity. We need people, because the opposite of that is, unfortunately, and this like hurts me. I don't know why, but it does. When people tell me they are just a manager at, Panera, or just a manager at, Panda Express, whatever it is, like, I just work at a restaurant. You don't just work at a restaurant. You work at this restaurant, and I want more pride in it. So we need to find a way. We need to find a way to kind of inspire people to be proud of where they're working. And this is a deeper philosophy conversation, but as a society, absolutely people look down at work at a restaurant. Like, you're not going to go to college, you're going to flip burgers, right?
Yeah.
Right. And for someone who did not go to college and, made sandwiches, not burgers, like, that's a little insulting, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what gives people the hesitancy to say and be proud that they work at a restaurant. So I think we need to change the culture in which how we look at people that have chosen the restaurant path, and inspire more people at the restaurant level to see the great stories across the country where people have really advanced their career. Whether you go to the GM level or you go to corporate office, like, even a GM role is an amazing accomplishment in this industry.
Totally.
Or even if it's a part-time role that fits well with your family, that's a measure of success too, right? It's not all about being the president of a brand. It's just the opportunity that it gives.
No, man, totally. And it's interesting you talk about that. It's like, I have had so many calls and so many podcasts with people, especially like HR leaders, operations leaders, and it's like, how do we make working in restaurants sexy again? Like, we lost a lot of people due to COVID, a lot of lifers, and it's like, no, you can have a career here. Like, I talk about this all the time. Like, there are pathways to becoming a leader, like, like general manager, area manager, regional director. Like, there's pathways companies are provide. The big trick here is that because there's such a hiring crisis, the companies now have to over index on retention. And what's the number one thing about retention is training, leadership training, mentorship, all these things to guide staff so they don't churn. And so, like, now it's almost like it's as good a time as ever to work in a restaurant if you were ever to consider it, because like the support structures are like an absolute necessity for keeping you in the first place, which like didn't really exist before, and that, like, for me, makes me so bullish. Like, I'm so bullish on the restaurant business in America. Like, this is like no better time. You know what I mean? And I think, like, honestly, I'm just delighted that there are people like you, Jason, in this space that like get it. You've seen it, and I think your approach to Botrista is, honestly, like, I would do it that way myself. I think it is like spot on. I think nailing that education piece, and I love not referring them to sales as a sneeze over there. I'm not referring that comes through. That's really annoying. Referring to them as like restaurant experts and not sales, like, and kind of giving it its own flavor. And for that, man, I mean, I appreciate you sharing candidly all of these stories. I know we spoke for 50 minutes now, honestly, coming up on. So like, this has been an awesomely insightful, and I love learning everything about Botrista, man. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. And if people are still watching, thank you for sticking around for 50 minutes.
They will. I see all the analytics. It's great.